I can't see. Well, I'm messed up. I'll just finish.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and we will begin with our Pledge of Allegiance led by Dr. Ingram.
I pledge
Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Ms. Parker, roll call, please.
Present. Ms. Archuleta.
Here.
Ms. Houston.
Present.
Pam Pereza.
Here.
Rodney Walton.
Here.
Bennett.
Here.
So word statement, please.
Welcome to the May 23rd, 2022 meeting of the Elizabeth City Pasquotank Board of Education. It is my duty to remind members of the board that it is your responsibility to avoid all conflicts of interest and potential conflicts of interest. In accordance with Chapter 138A of North Carolina General Statutes. As public servants, it is your duty to continually monitor, evaluate, and manage your personal, financial, and professional affairs in such a way as to ensure the absence of conflicts or potential conflicts. Does any member know of any conflict of interest or potential conflict of interest with respect to any matter coming before the board today? Let the record reflect that no conflicts exist.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to move to approve the agenda for tonight, May 23rd, 2002, as presented. And I need a second from the floor.
Second.
Okay, and a roll call vote.
Dr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Archuleta.
Yes.
Virginia Houston.
Yes.
Pam Pereza.
Yes.
Rodney Walton. Daniel Bennett.
Yes.
Okay. And now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Ingram for his superintendent's report.
Thank you, Chairman. Board members, members of the audience. Saturday, of course, we attended the education. I know the kids really appreciate it. And I would like to highlight something I did. It's all. We can talk loud.
You don't mind.
Okay, pardon me. I'll start over. I want to commend the Board of Education for attending the early college graduation. We had all 7 of you in attendance. I know the kids appreciated it and the parents did as well. One thing I failed to point out Saturday, but I think is very significant and something that we should all be proud of. 23 of 31 graduates received their 2-year degrees. That is an astronomical percentage, much higher than any early college or middle school program. Something to be celebrated. And of that number, 6 potentially can finish their degree this summer. So that is absolutely amazing. And it's a program that I highly support. And it was so good to see everybody there. Tomorrow night, Town South Church has graciously agreed to host a baccalaureate service at 6 p.m. at their church. They have had a little bit of a glitch though. It's going to be a game time decision. A couple of people on their staff have had COVID outbreaks. So we're going to, they're trying to work that out now. So if there's a change, I'll let you know, but we won't know that until a little bit later. But we certainly appreciate Town South Church for opening up this opportunity to all of our seniors, not just at one school, but both at Northeastern, Pasquotank, and yes, the early college, even though they've had their ceremony. We do have graduations next week. Pasquotank County High School, June 1st, 7 p.m. That's Wednesday. We wear basically Sunday go to meeting clothes is what I say. Northeastern on June 2nd, they traditionally do wear regalia. So if you have regalia, you would be invited to wear that. If you don't, if you'll let us know, we'll see if Northeastern has, they usually have a couple of extra robes or whatever, but that's not required. That's also 7 p.m. Both ceremonies are in the Kermit White Center. So we're,
Kermit.
I'm sorry, that's a 7 p.m. Yeah.
Can you repeat all that again?
What, no, it's in Kermit White now and not
Sorry, I wrote
R.L.
Kermit
Bond
White. I
Center?
think it's the Vaughn.
Bond Center, okay, that's all.
I messed up. I wrote it wrong. It is the Vaughn Center. The
Okay,
Kate
thank
White
you.
would be a little small, so.
Yes, that's
It's-
what I
it's
was
the Vaughn
wondering.
Center.
Okay.
So thank you for correcting me on that. I just wrote it wrong. Our summer hours do begin. I consulted with our superintendent-elect, Dr. Parker, as well as Ms. Haynes, and they checked the dates for me. We put that out this morning. The first Friday that we will observe summer hours will be June 10th. The last Friday will be August 5th. The week of July 4th, we will have normal hours because July 4th falls on Monday. So we will work Tuesday through Friday that week. The summer hours are basically 7 to 5, and everybody's expected to log 40 hours outside of lunch. So they would work that out. The week of July 4th would be Tuesday through Friday, 8 to 4 would be the normal hours for that. So Chair Warden, that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Ingram. Now I need a motion from the floor for the approval of the minutes on the 26th and the 16th.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the minutes as they were presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, and a roll call vote.
Dr. Sheila Williams? Yes. Mr. Archuleta?
Yes.
Ms. Houston?
Yes.
Sam Pereza?
Yes.
Rodney Walton? Daniel Spence?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Now we're going to move on to public comment, and we have one person, Mr. Sawyer.
Good afternoon. This is on there. First, I want to say happy birthday to Mr. Spence. If y'all didn't know, today's his birthday.
Oh,
That called me out. When I was here last month, I was telling y'all how I was trying to do what I'm able to do yearly. It's reapply for reinstatement. I do have that right every year. I haven't gotten anywhere since the last meeting. I have called the district office 8 times, basically once every 2 days. And the receptionist calls and directs me to a Mrs. Gordon. I guess she took over Tammy Sawyer's spot, I'm not sure, but I've left messages all 8 times. I have them dictated in my file here. I have not received one phone call yet or email. But it's kind of hard to reapply when you can't get a response, which is evidently this Miss Gordon's one of her new jobs. So I'm not getting anywhere. You know, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I'm not going to stop coming to these meetings until I get reinstated. I'm going to get reinstated. It may have to take me winter in November. You know, like I said before, I got a lot of backing. And with Mr. Kurt Rivers being elected mayor, if he can do that, I can do this. So he's really giving me a lot of confidence. I was told not to do this, but I'm going to ask again. It doesn't hurt. Hoping someone will make a motion tonight because I'm not getting nowhere. And somebody following. and then I get a vote to get reinstated. But like I said, I'm not gonna stop fighting to get back. It was wrong to take it from me. I'm not gonna stop until I get it back. This is something I don't want to put on the new superintendent's plate. He's gonna have plenty to do when he gets here, cleaning up the mess on Hofstad. But I don't want to burden him with anything, but I will. It's not taking care of before then. I don't understand why, some of you board members are afraid to raise your hand. I can't figure that out. It's like y'all afraid to speak up. Where would we be today if Martin Luther King or Rosa Parks or Thurgood Marshall, Elijah Cummings, I knew, from Baltimore, or Malcolm X, or any of these great civil rights leaders, where would we be today? The Kennedys, got to include them. Frederick Douglass, where would we be today if these people didn't speak up? We probably wouldn't be in the same mood, drinking out the same water, using the same toilet. So when y'all are afraid to, throw your hand up, you're stabbing them in the face. Whether this vote goes my way or not, I've been a part of that team for 17 years. So got a fake award. I call it a fake award from Miss Gordon. Evidently, it just don't mean anything. Employees succeed in excellence. I guess that don't mean nothing. But I don't need a piece of paper. I got these 3 things here. And I'm going to get more. But I'm going to get back on that field. But, like I said, I'm going to ask y'all again. Now, last time I asked that the 2 people I'm running against to be excluded from vote. I'm asking that y'all vote also, even though I know how one of them is going to go if it makes it that far. One good thing before I close and see what y'all say or not say. One good thing has come out of this disaster for me. I have become closer to God, which is a great thing. I find myself reading the Bible a lot more now. And once in a while, when I read the Bible, I'll pick out these verses that really stick out to me, and I'll write them down, and I'll save them for what I feel is the right moment. And I feel like tonight's the right moment for a verse that I looked up. And this goes out to everybody in this building, even those of y'all back on the back table who I don't even know y'all. I want to go to Matthew 18, verse 21 and 22. You, Lord, are forgiving and good, abiding in love to all who call you. And when you stand praying, if you hold anything against anyone, forgive this, so your Father in heaven may forgive you of your sins. I just thought that was the perfect timing for this. Other than that, y'all, I'm finished. I'm just waiting to see if there's any reactions on that. Like I said, if there ain't, I'll be back next month. After that, I'm not going away. If somebody takes something from you for no reason that you love so much, you fight to get it back. But I'm gonna keep fighting. If it takes till November, like I said, I've got a lot of backers. That don't mean they're gonna go to the polls. But I got 12 cans, I can fill them up with people. Just like Kirk did, the limos and the bus. Believe me. Over the weekend, I got 3 phone calls from teachers that teach in Canada but live here. And they're supporting. Maybe we can get them back up here on this side of the bridge where they belong. But it's going to take somebody's voice. These teachers out here are scared to death to speak up. I ride them in the cab all the time. They're scared to come in here. One teacher has been in here
Ms. Warden,
in the last 10
Chair
weeks,
Warden.
last 10 months. One teacher has been in the last 10 months. One.
Mr. Sawyer, your time is up.
And I asked these teachers, is everything perfect or y'all just afraid to come in here? They say they're afraid to come in here. That's a big problem. We got people that are afraid to speak up. It's a huge problem. I'm done. So, waiting for a reaction or no reaction. But going back. There's no hands moving, so guess y'all gonna continue to disrespect the right. Sorry, I'll see y'all again next month. Disappointed, but to be expected.
Okay, let's move on to the consent agenda. And I need a motion for those items from the floor.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda that includes FPT 02 budget amendments, PE 01, the CTE plan, and PC 01, which addresses face coverings, the policy for face coverings.
And there was no change on that as far as recommendations.
Right.
So I need a second
Second.
and a roll call vote.
Dr. Williams,
Yes.
George Archuleta,
Yes.
Jenny Houston,
Yes.
Pam Pereza,
Yes.
Rodney Walton.
Yes.
Daniel Spence.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on into our agenda items for tonight that fall under financial, business, and technology. And I'm going to call on Ms. Haynes to present those items.
Chair Warden, Vice Chair Williams, and board members, good evening. On the finance agenda this evening, we have several quotes that are up for renewal. FBT 01 is instructor, known as TE 21, and is the benchmark assessment used by the district, and this is for grades 3 through 12. The next item, FBT 02, is curriculum and associates, which is iReady, and this is curriculum for math and reading for grades K through 8. FBT 03 is SAVIS, and it's curriculum for math and ELA for grades 9 through 12. And FBT 04 is Imagine Learning, known as Edgenuity, and this is the credit recovery program, but it's also used for initial credit in some instances. Ms. Warden, did you want me to do these as a group or just keep?
Let's see if we have any questions about any of those items at this point before you move on. We'll just do them all at the same time, but does anyone have any questions about those particular items? Okay, so move on, Rachel. Thank you.
The last two are insurance renewals. FBT 05 is the general liability renewal with North Carolina School Board Trust. And FBT 06 is the automobile and inland marine renewal, again with North Carolina School Board Trust.
Okay. And are there any questions about those two? From anybody from the floor? Okay. So at this moment, she wants us to take action on these items tonight, so I need a motion to do so from the floor.
Make the motion that we approve the items FPT 01, FPT 02.
I'll second.
Okay. All right. And we need a roll call vote.
Dr. Sheila Williams,
Yes.
George Archuleta,
Yes.
Virginia Houston,
Yes.
Pam Pereza,
Yes.
Rodney Walton.
Yes.
And Daniel Spence.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Haynes. Okay, well, now we're at the point with our Personalized Education Committee and our COA Board of Trustees selection. And we have our interviews tonight of our 3 candidates, and one is here. He was supposed to be here at 6:15, and we're running pretty much on time. That's good. So, Ms. Pereza?
Okay. And I don't have the schedule of who was coming first and second.
Okay, Mr. Anderson.
Okay. All right. Mr. Anderson, you want to come up to the podium? Introduce yourself and got it.
Good evening, Mr. Anderson. We received your application, and what we would like for you to do is expand on your reasons for wishing to be appointed as a trustee. And in that expansion, give us a little more information about your background and why you feel it would be perfect for serving on that particular board on our behalf.
Thank you. I feel I owe the COA a debt. When I came out of high school, I attended Northeastern. The second graduating class at Northeastern. I wasn't a very good student. It's not the school's fault, it's my fault. It was a crazy time. 1967, the Summer of Love, Woodstock in 69, the lottery draft, you no longer had deferments from Vietnam, it was a straight lottery in 69. So we had some things on our mind, and plus the consolidation of the schools. All these things were distractions. That's not an excuse, but that's the world I came up in. And at the end of school, I had no plans whatsoever, but some friends convinced me to try the COA, and it was magic. School was fun. Teachers were good. Teachers were helpful. Some particularly so of Mr. Robert Ford, that you had back in those days, who taught drafting and design. I remember we were working late on a project one night, and it was time to go home. And Mr. Ford just do us a speech, and you lock the doors when you go home. And he did that with us many times. And after a while, you had students working on weekends, even like on Saturday nights. And it was 2 students, and then it was 4, and then it was 10. And after a while, Mr. Ford himself would show up on Saturday nights, and we would listen to music, and we would do our work. And it was fun, and we were learning. And that led to other courses being fun. And there were other professors that helped us in similar ways, not necessarily the same, but similar ways. After 1 year at the COA, I went to North Carolina State. My dad wanted to have an engineer for a son. His son didn't necessarily see it the same, transferred into architecture, and eventually transferred into urban planning. And by the time I had left North Carolina State, I was pre-law. I had taken every law course North Carolina State taught, but at this point, I was making really good grades, and so my dad kind of backed away, and he wasn't too upset about not having an engineer. From North Carolina State, I went to law school in Toledo, Ohio, the University of Toledo. There, interned for a professor who taught labor law, labor and employment law. That led to a career beginning with the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, which in those days had a tuition refund program. And when I asked them what are the limitations, the only limitation had to be related to your work, and you had to put the money up front. And I asked him, any school I want to go to? Yes. And right up the street, I lived on Baltimore Street, no, excuse me, on Charles Street, in Baltimore, Johns Hopkins University. And the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad paid for every penny of that education, which even back then was $400 and some a credit hour. So that's how I got the Johns Hopkins education. But all of it started right here with the COA. Absent that opportunity, I'd probably be working, I'd still be here in the Albemarle, but I'd be a plumber or a bricklayer or an electrician. I'd be a good one, but I owe the COA. It helped me. I needed help, so I will do anything I can do to help the COA. I will do. My qualifications. I worked in the railroad industry for about 20 years. The railroads were, I learned a lot. I traveled a lot. But I figured the railroads were making money and are making money to this day by eliminating heat. That's how they do it. It's use technology to eliminate junk. I worked for the Baldwin, Ohio, which later became the Chesney system. When I left there were about 60,000 people. They merged with the Seaboard Coastline, which was also about 60,000 people. That formed CSX. CSX today has about 27,000. So you can see they have survived, they've thrived, but they thrived by eliminating jobs. I left that and went to United Airlines, which at the time was an employee-owned company, which sounded exciting. The employees owned the majority of the stock. Employees had a say. The employees shared in the profits, and it worked pretty good until 9/11. And then it was done. By December of 2002, United was in bankruptcy. The employees that were able to work together so well in the previous years, all of a sudden started fighting among themselves, and United was doomed. And from that, I ended up with a small airline, AirTran, down in Orlando. And AirTran was enough of a pest to Southwest Airlines, that Southwest swooped in and wrote a check and bought us. And as we complained about it, we said if at least the prettiest gal at the ball is the one that grabbed us and took us on the dance floor, Southwest. And I worked with Southwest since 2020. As you would know, the effect of COVID on the airlines was pretty devastating. They were encouraging us to consider moving on, and I did so and came back. And I hope that tells you some of what you wanted to know.
Yeah.
But I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions at this time for Mr. Anderson?
Still getting used to, I watch your lips moving, but I hear it. That's weird.
As an appointee to the Board of Trustees at COA from Elizabeth City, Pasquotank County Schools, one of the things that we expect from you is to represent our interests. So with that, what do you feel you can contribute in that aspect?
I think my work experience will help me see when things don't sound quite right. When I have had supervisors over the years that say, I have to clean this up. I detect crap. And they said sometimes my detector for that is oversensitive, so I toned it down a bit. But if things don't sound right or don't look right, I think those are things that I can bring to people's attention. I don't have any pre-formed plans, but my plan would be to go, to watch, to listen, but eventually my mouth will start working just as it always has. But I would use the 40 years of dealing with big companies, dealing with governments around the world in different cultures. You saw on my resume, I have both at United and at AirTran. I did run what we call the EEOC departments at those places, so I had faced many issues along those lines, but also many dealing with labor. And remember, at United Airlines, because it was employee-owned, all employees had a grievance process, all employees, management, non-management, everybody, and I ran that process. So experienced in mediation, have done a lot of it. I've had a lot of training in it. I've had a lot of successes, some not so good. I shut down the country in 1991, literally, in a work stoppage. in the railroad industry. The railroads had got together and pledged that if one railroad was struck by the major unions, all railroads would shut down. Lo and behold, it was CSX that was struck. And I did some phone calls, and the next day, no trains were moving anywhere. And I had the chairman of our company, the fellow named John Snow, went on to be Secretary of the Treasury for George Bush. And Mr. Snow had to testify in Congress as to how he made the decision to shut down the railroads. And he stumbled through it pretty badly, but mainly because he didn't do it. So big decisions, dealing with big money, but a problem solver by nature.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anyone have anything else they would like to ask Mr. Anderson at this time? Well, Mr. Anderson, we appreciate you coming, and we appreciate your interest in serving for us. And I can assure you that you will be contacted either way. Hopefully, we'll be able to take a vote tonight, and we will contact you by letter whether you have received this. If you do not receive it this time, I would encourage you to apply again, because we will have another seat to open up. We have 4 seats that we appoint to the COA Board of Trustees. So with that said, have a nice evening.
Thank
And
you.
again,
you.
appreciate you coming today.
Thank you. I think Pam's
Stacy.
Yeah, Pam is going to get Stacy White, it's our next applicant. You have the resume here in your email.
You have to use the mic. I'm sorry. Pam, you want to?
You okay? Is that better?
Ms. White, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for your interest in this trustee position. As you may be aware, we have the opportunity to appoint 4 trustees to the COA Board of Trustees. And when a seat opens, we came up with this application process. So with that said, the first thing I'd like for you to do is, we received your information, your application, your resume, but we'd like for you to expand on those items that you would like, specifically telling what it is about this position that you feel you can offer, and why you are interested.
Thank you. Again, my name is Stacy White. I'm born and raised in the area. I've lived within 30 minutes of right here my whole entire life. I did go to COA. When I was in high school, I was one of those that I was not getting married, not having children. I was getting out of this small town. And instead, I met a boy and ended up getting married. And so I went to COA. And when I was there, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And so I took some general classes in the morning. I had an uncle that was in real estate and thought, oh, this might be something that I could do. I actually did not finish my associates, but I did finish my certificate program in real estate, for which I have been full-time for the last 24 years. I have had a very successful career. So I feel like I'm one of those that, even if you didn't end up where you thought you were going to be, you can turn it to something, obviously that works for you. So I didn't have a plan, or the plan that I thought I had didn't work out for me. In the end, that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. So with that being said, this is the area that, being born and raised, that I feel like supports
me and it supports my career. And so I do try to give back. So I have served locally, not just with our Board of Realtors, but also in a lot of different volunteer positions. And so currently I serve on KEYS, which is keeping every youth safe, which is over in Perquimans County with the schools. That's just like locks and safes. And so I do serve over there with a group of people. And I also serve as our RPAC chair for the Board of Realtors. RPAC is the Realtor Action Committee. And if you know anything about real estate, it is political. I do know the political side of things. And because real estate affects everything, every job, every career, everything from your attorneys, your home inspectors, your pest inspectors, your Lowe's, your local stores, everything. When the realtors speak, people listen. And so being that political action committee chair to be the person that actually gets to make those phone calls and say, hey, this is what we're dealing with in our area and we need help. That's huge for us here. I've done that for the last 3 years for the Albemarle Area Association of Realtors, where I've served as the president twice. And I also serve as the state political coordinator, which means I'm the person that makes the phone calls to say, hey, this is what we're dealing with in Elizabeth City and in Perquimans and in Chowan and getting ready to go over to the Outer Banks. So that's huge for me to have those touches for us locally and be able to bring that back here. So serving and giving back is huge for me.
Thank you. Thank you. As you are aware, we will be appointing you as Elizabeth City, Pasquotank County Schools representative on the COA Board of Trustees. And with that in consideration, what do you feel you can bring to the trustees board on our behalf?
Again, knowing the area and being very proud of our area and trying to get as much recognition as we can to our area, whether it's bringing, that insight here so that people see us. Everybody knows our little areas, the little corner, we're right off the beach, we're right out of Virginia. I think it's big for people to recognize how big our area is and what we give back to our students as they're coming through. We were just talking in the other room about the early college graduation and how cool that they can now graduate from college before they even graduate from high school. And I don't think that people realize that in a very small town like we are, that those kinds of things happen. So I think maybe helping to bring some of that recognition. And then again, just making sure people understand that and people see that we are here and that it's big and it's important. They don't necessarily have to pack up and move away when they leave here in order to be professional and have a great career. And so many people want to come back here and they want to raise their kids here. I'm proof of that. After 24 years of selling real estate, all the people that have come back here, we've got plenty of houses to sell those people, and getting people back here and letting them know that they can raise their families here is important.
Good. Are there any questions from the floor from any members for Ms. White? Well, Ms. White, we appreciate your interest in this position. We will get back with you by letter. Hopefully we'll be able to take the vote tonight. So you will find out pretty soon because the seat opens up. You have to be willing to take that seat by July the 1st. So with that said, again, I appreciate everything that you had to say tonight. Appreciate your interest in representing us with the Board of Trustees. And I'm going to encourage you, if you are not selected this time, we have 4 seats that we are responsible for appointing. So if you are not selected for this one, I am sure there will be another one very soon that will open up, and I encourage you to apply again. So thank you again very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She's here.
Now we have Dr. Andrea Williams. You also have her packet in the folder. Someone's bringing. Okay, she's coming. Oh, Caroline's bringing her.
So we're moving right along. That's good.
What time was her interview? What time is her interview?
She was supposed to be here at 6:45. She's already here, I think. Caroline's bringing her in. Is she not here yet?
It's not quite 6:45.
Ask for me.
It's not quite 6:45 yet. Yeah, we're running ahead of time.
Yeah, 6:41.
It's okay. Give you time to look over the information for the others and kind of think about what they said. Dr. Williams, if you'll just take your place behind the podium right there because you need the microphone. You're a very important guest. Take your place.
Well, good evening.
Good evening. As with the others, we have received your information. We've had an opportunity to look over it. And what we would like for you to do is expand on that, telling us exactly why you feel you would be the right selection for us for the Board of Trustees. What do you have to offer to that board?
Okay. Well, you've already had a chance to review my resume, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
And as you can see, I've had a wealth of experience in a number of areas. One of the reasons that I would like to embark on this opportunity is because I've had a chance to see the transition over the years with College of the Albemarle. I started with College of the Albemarle in the late 70s. And from that standpoint, until I retired, until I saw the growth. And also I understand, and I still understand the cost of COA. When I reviewed most recently the makeup of the board members over the years, there have been few opportunities that female, minority female, past employees have had an opportunity to serve on the board. Not that that is so important in one respect because of race, but it's important for diversity. And in terms of having knowledge of the challenges that individuals go through, I feel that it's important to also have input. When I looked at the current status of the enrollment of COA, we see a decline in the number of minority potential. Now, if you look at my resume, when I started working, I worked with the adult basic education that's working with older students, people who had dropped out. Special Services was a federal program that was designed to work with first generation, low income, and individuals with disabilities. The whole concept behind that was to provide opportunities for them to have services, counseling, oral services, childcare services, and services needed for individuals with disabilities. So this was in the beginning, one of the most holistic approaches that was taken in the early 80s there at COA. As time expanded, the Educational Opportunity Center program was an outreach program to work with individuals who were 19 years old and older. And the whole concept of that is trying to get people in an educational pipeline somewhere, whether they wanted to finish their GED, whether they wanted to enter a post-secondary institution anywhere at all in the United States, not just COA, or to get them exposed, to be ready to be able to apply for a job. We were funded to work with a minimum of 1,000 individuals. That meant that we had a lot of partnerships with our social services, our housing authority, our churches, United States Coast Guard, our public school board. And it was probably about 38 different partnerships. But the concern is that we need to come together to address various needs and whatnot. And as I said, the whole concept of that was get people into the education pipeline. Starting at age 19 on up. So one of the things that we did was to look at individuals in different groups. Those individuals who were just coming out at teens and 20s, the middle age, but also our senior population. We work with seniors at the senior center, the nursing home, and many of those people, and remember this was back in the 80s and 90s, early on, when technology was still new. And we expose people to technology or just teaching them how to email. And you would think today that's no big deal, right? But when you're working with seniors, sometimes they feel isolated. They wanted to stay in contact with their family. We did these things to help to expose them to technology, but also give them the skills to help them just on their day-to-day life. The flip side on that was many of those nursing home workers, for example, your nursing assistants, that gave them motivation to also continue their education. So with every partnership that we develop, our whole goal is to get people at a higher level of education and exposure. With my work since COA, and I need to also let you all know that I was a grant writer. So I have had an opportunity to have millions and millions of dollars for the college of Alabama through our federal programs, student support services, educational opportunity center, but also our child care, our non-traditional programs, and whatnot. We, as assistant to the president for grants, we worked on a number of activities and gained various grants from Golden League and other entities. So in that regard, the grants at College of we were definitely involved. Now, since my retirement from College of Alabama, and also during that time, I was also engaged in many activities with the community. And if you look on page 3 of my resume, with different organizations that I have been involved with, it shows a variety of organizations. While working, had an opportunity to serve on congressional visits, just talk about needs of our community. And having a variety of activities since our work, as you see on page 3, you can see that I have really been involved with the community in a number of aspects. What do I have to bring to COA at this time in my life? I have just completed serving as board chair for the Pasco County Social Services Board. I've just completed serving as the chair of the Community Relations Commission of Pasco County, Louis City. And in these regards, I've had the opportunity to look at needs of the community since I was at COA for many years. Through working with the Community Relations Commission, we brought in individuals from various aspects of the community, give us input of our various needs for educational, policing, diversity needs throughout and various entities of the city and county, needs of our school people, our students. We will bring them in, get input from them, from the high school here in the city, to determine their needs. So this is one of the things that I bring as background and experience to this endeavor here in serving on One of the things that's not up here is that we have worked with you all, the system, through the operation of the ABC board. Many of you might not know that since 2016, the ABC board has funded a program with Roman Gable, who comes here yearly and to work with our middle schoolers and our high school people. This is a program to help students to try to stay away from alcohol. It's a character educational program wherein they also work with the counselors. It's an interactive program. Students can contact Mr. Roman and his body regarding different needs. So we have had an opportunity to look at the various needs of our school system, the needs of our parents, the needs of the community in general, and how we can take a good assessment and to see what can we do to enhance. Now, I had an opportunity, since I decided that I wanted to pursue this, is to look at the current background of the makeup of the board at COA. And many of these people I know. Some of them I don't know. But for the ones that I don't know, we have a lot of things in common in terms of our background, our interests. And I think by sharing my experiences, things that I've come across over the years since retiring from COA would help maybe shed some more light. We want to be a partner, whether it's any organization or entity that we are involved with. We are not a know-it-all, but we do want to bring our experiences. And the biggest thing is to always listen and to seek opportunities for improvement. So I don't know, that's a long way to say I have something to give back to COA. I have experience and I want to do this to help all of us.
Do we have any questions from any of the board members from the floor before we move on? I had another question for you, Dr. Williams, but I think you've already answered it. It had to do with your role as a representative from us and what you saw that as being your primary function. So with that said, if you don't have anything else you'd like to add, I will say that you will be notified by letter about the selection. If you are not selected this time, we have 4 seats that we are responsible for appointing, and I would encourage you to apply for one of those if you are not selected this time. With that said, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I would like to say that I certainly hope that I would have the opportunity this time to be selected by you all. I have a lot to contribute. I'm qualified. I've had a diverse background, and I'm here to serve. So that's where I am right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for applying, and thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate it very much.
Okay, and if you have any other questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact me.
Sure will.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Dr. Williams.
Thank you. That's all for my committee.
Can somebody go get Dr. Ingram? Yeah. We're going to have a motion from the floor from Dr. Williams to go into closed at this time. Okay. While you're getting ready, Dr. Williams, may I say one thing? I wanted to point out, we had a Miss Stephanie Miller, who, I'm sorry, Stephanie Mills, not Miller. I knew better. Who was kind enough to
No.
come to our students through a Zoom meeting to talk about her experience as a Broadway performer. And she talked specifically to our drama students who had just put on the production of The Wiz, which she was a primary player in the first Broadway production of that back in, I think it was the 80s, right? But it was just phenomenal.
It was.
That she was able to share her experiences with our kids. The kids were so enthusiastic about it. They asked lots of really good questions.
Yeah.
We had several students who are very interested in pursuing that career, and she gave them some very valuable advice. She was very realistic about the difficulties of that particular industry and, you know, the fact that it's not easy to break into, but she was also very encouraging to our students as far as making sure that they realized that if this was a dream they had, then they needed to pursue that. And we cannot thank her enough for that experience for our students. And she has even recently come back to say that she would love to return to Elizabeth City, Pasquotank County schools to share other things with our kids, working with any schools that we would like for her to. So I think that was wonderful, and I just did not want to forget to acknowledge that opportunity that our kids had. And there were several of our board members who attended that as well. If there's anything that you guys would like to share.
One thing I want to know, who got her here? Who was responsible for coordinating that here? To get her to help with that moment?
Miss James Davis, you want to?
Yes, so her nephew, she has a relative who's one of the administrators in our district, actually works here. And so, I knew that. So then when the young lady who had played that role, after finding out that her mom said she channeled Stephanie Mills, then contacted him to find out if we could schedule a phone call, but she was so gracious enough to do a Zooming.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that was nice of him, yeah.
It was very nice.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed how open she was. And it wasn't like she was on the call to rush us off the call.
No.
It was like she was just, okay, what's the next question? Okay, I'm here. What's the next question? And then he asked her to sing a little bit at the end.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Which was still in Stephanie Mills' fashion. She did a phenomenal job. Yeah.
And just the fact that she's willing to come back to this little piece of northeastern North Carolina to help our students, I think that just speaks highly of her character and her willingness to give back to the youth who are interested in pursuing this career, that career. So, and one of the things that stood out for me was the fact that she told them, don't sell yourself out. Stay yourself. Stay who you are. Don't try to become something that they want you to be. Stay true to yourself. And so that's invaluable information for all of us. Stay true to yourself.
Yeah.
So with that said, I wanted to make sure, Miss James Davis had asked me to be sure to acknowledge that. So I wrote myself a note, and then daggone if I didn't mess up her name, but I corrected it. So, but anyway, I also want to acknowledge we've had a lot of really great events that have been going on. The early college graduation, which Dr. Ingram referenced, and that was very well organized, very well represented. So thank you very much, everyone who attended. We've also had a lot of athletic events that have been going on. Our track team at Northeastern High School, they placed in the state playoffs. We had our baseball team at Pasquotank County High School who went on to play in the state playoffs. And even our Northeastern High School baseball team as well. I think Pasquotank went to the second level.
That's it.
Northeastern lost at the first one, but they made it, and that's what's important. So,
Like ECMS track, I think they took third in the conference as well.
okay.
Girls
So
and boys.
we've got a lot of really good runners apparently, and people who are very much into that facet of athletics, and so that's good. We've also had a lot of awards programs. Our seniors have shown that they're right up there with every senior in North Carolina. And I'm very, very proud of each and every one of them, as I know you all are.
Absolutely.
So with that said, Dr. Williams?
And also,
Yes.
places to point out, the FAA from Pasquotank, they did a great job, everybody that worked there. And also, I believe the DECA program from
Right.
Pasquotank has done good. And great. And I just want to give them a shout out.
Right.
And I'd like to mention that the Teacher of the Year and then the senior scholars who recognize the teachers who have meant so much to them. That's just always so moving for me. That was just a wonderful experience. And 3 or 4 days ago, I noticed 2 signs in a house on my 3 doors down from me that there were graduates of Pasquotank County High School. So I said, 2 signs, that's strange. And I just decided to go up and knock on the door. And remember the set of twins?
Oh, yeah.
Well, my goodness, they are my neighbors. And I found that out. They were not there, but it was just a good thing to, to say to the parents that how proud we were and that I had seen them both at the band concert and senior scholars. So you're right. We just have wonderful, wonderful people, wonderful students in our schools and fantastic teachers.
Yeah. Yeah. We all should be very, very proud.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody would like to add? Okay, Dr. Williams, will you take us into close, please?
I motion for the board to go into closed session as allowed by NC General Statute 143 through 318, 11A6 for the purpose of considering one or more personnel matters that are confidential under NC General Statute 115C through 320, and as allowed by NC General Statute 143 through 318, 11A3, to consult with the board attorney regarding matters protected by the attorney-client privilege and to preserve that privilege.
Okay. I need a second.
I'll second it.
All right. At this time, we will go into closed and we will resume open session following close. Oh, we need a roll call vote, I'm sorry, to go into close.
Dr. Sheila Williams.
Yes?
George Archuleta.
Yes.
Jenny Houston.
Yes.
Pam Preza.
Yes.
Rodney Walton.
Yes.
Daniel Spence.
Yes.